Welcome in, Broncos country, to our 6th game preview video for the 2025 season. The Denver Broncos, currently sitting at 3-2, are set to travel across the pond to London, England, to take on the New York Jets, who are searching for their first win in the Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji era. They're currently sitting at 0-5. The Denver Broncos, big win last week on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles, knocking off the defending Super Bowl champions in their house. I know that some people will try to discount from that victory after the Eagles went into New York and lost, but I'll point out, short week, Thursday night football, division game, all kinds of craziness can happen. The Broncos earned that victory. We talked about that in a previous video. And now they're looking to stack their third win in a row, and they're trying to go on sort of a win streak here. The Broncos have several opponents ahead of them that are very favorable matchups. They should win multiple games coming up here, but they've got to focus on what's ahead of them right now in this New York Jets team, and they're reeling. They're in desperation mode as they've got a big old goose egg in their record book right now. Aaron Glenn is trying to set the culture for this team after the culture has been wayward basically since Rex Ryan was there. The New York Jets have been the epitome of dysfunctional for the past 10 years plus. And now they're trying to completely reset everything. And they've got a lot of holdover from the previous regime. They're trying to clean house. It hasn't gone very well to this point. It seems that a lot of players on that roster aren't really buying into the culture. They've been in a lot of games where it's been a blowout in the fourth quarter and the Jets are just trying to dress up the score and make it look good. The Jets have been fourth quarter garbage time merchants this season. Aaron Glenn is a defensive-minded head coach. He used to be the Lions defensive coordinator. But the Jets' defense has mightily regressed since he got there. This is one of the worst defenses in football. They have a lot of breakdowns in the secondary. They have a lack of communication. Their defensive line hasn't lived up to their potential. This Jets' defense overall is dysfunctional. Offensively, Justin Fields at quarterback, he's been doing his best. I mean, he's really good with the ball in his hands as a runner, but he's got a lot of issues as a drop-back passer. The Jets do run the football really well. That's the one thing they do at a high level, but they cannot pass the ball when it's outside of the fourth quarter in garbage time, and their defense can't stop a cold outside of the fourth quarter in garbage time. The Broncos are looking to take advantage of this caliber of an opponent and try to get a dominating victory. This Jets team is still a professional football team. They're still searching for their first win, so you know that they're going to be putting everything that they have on the table in this game, all their chips, and they're going to try to do some crazy stuff to get a win. So you can't overlook this Jets team, especially with the game being in a neutral environment in London. This is a team that can beat you if you overlook them, but I strongly believe the Denver Broncos won't do that. As we always do in these game previews, we approach it from the opponent's perspective, break down their roster, assess their strengths, assess their weaknesses, determine how the Broncos could attack some of these weaknesses, and how the Jets could use some of their strengths to attack the Denver Broncos' weaknesses. But before we get into the roster, I do want to talk about this coaching staff a little bit with Aaron Glenn as their head coach. Glenn, like I said earlier, used to be the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, so this staff predominantly comes from that Lions pipeline. Prior to being in Detroit, Glenn was a defensive assistant in New Orleans under Sean Payton. He also played under Sean Payton, I believe, during his tenure with the Dallas Cowboys, but Glenn was defense, Sean Payton was offense. Sean talked about it. They know each other very well, and no doubt it would feel really good for Aaron Glenn to beat his old boss. His offensive coordinator is Tanner Engstrand, and they've brought over that sort of Ben Johnson style system. It's got some West Coast elements. Under center, they run downhill, play action, they do some RPOs, but since they have Justin Fields as their quarterback, they sprinkle in a lot of the design QB run game, read options, stuff like that. So I'd say their offensive scheme overall is very multiple, and so is their defensive scheme. The defense is run in a tandem by Aaron Glenn and defensive coordinator Steve Wilks, Wilkes was previously the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals back in 2018. He's been a defensive coordinator for the 49ers, for a couple of other teams. Now he's the defensive coordinator here in New York, and this Jets defensive scheme, I would say, is also quite multiple. They get into 3-4 and 4-3 looks. They run a lot of single high coverage, cover 1, cover 3, but they will sprinkle in some cover 2, some cover 4. It's definitely a multiple system here, both offensively and defensively for the New York Jets. So now let's go ahead and get into this roster personnel, starting off with my favorite website here, Ourlads, and we will get into the quarterback position with Justin Fields. This is one of those situations here where you have to look at Justin Fields' film. You can't just look at the numbers. Even the advanced numbers are kind of telling a lie here. Raw numbers, 71 for 106, 754 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's completing 67% of his passes. He's 15th best in terms of overall EPA per play amongst 33 eligible quarterbacks with a minimum of 100 dropbacks. He's 7th best in success rate with a 51.7% success rate. That's solid. 15th best in completion percentage over expected, which means how many passes are you completing relative to the average quarterback in the NFL. But he's only got 3 PFF big-time throws to 5 turnover-worthy plays. He hasn't had any turnovers yet this season, but he has put the ball in harm's way at least once every single game. His average depth of target, 22nd out of 33 quarterbacks, 7.7 yards, so it's not like he's throwing the ball deep. He's definitely taking advantage of the short and intermediate passing game. 6th best in adjusted completion percentage. Rushing yards, 31 attempts for 204 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, and 17th best in terms of PFF passing grade. So with Justin Fields, you look at these numbers and you think, that's not bad. He's at least performing at a league average level. I wish we had the ability to look at these numbers in the first 3 quarters as opposed to the fourth quarter. When you look at the film with Justin Fields, he's not able to get anything done in the first 3 quarters. Finally, in the fourth quarter, when his team's down by multiple scores and defenses are backing off and playing a lot more soft zone, that's when Justin Fields has his most success. Additionally, when defenses get into man coverage, Fields has success, but it's more because of what he does with his legs as opposed to his arm. Justin Fields really struggles as a drop-back passer. He struggles executing basic reads. High school level concepts have been an issue for Justin Fields. Dating back to Pittsburgh, it was the same thing, and that's why Mike Tomlin ultimately benched Justin Fields for Russell Wilson last year. He knew it wasn't sustainable. And some of these other advanced metrics here will tell you that there's a very clear formula to giving Justin Fields trouble. When he's kept clean, 50 for 65 through the air for 538 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 3 big-time throws, and 1 turnover-worthy play. But when he's under pressure, he's completing about 50% of his passes, 21 for 41, for 216 yards. He has thrown for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, but none of these touchdowns have been particularly impressive according to PFF because they've got him with no big-time throws under pressure, and 4 out of his 5 turnover-worthy plays have come when he's under pressure. So if you want to beat Justin Fields, you've got to get pressure on him. Additionally, there's a specific way you want to do it, because when you play man coverage against Justin Fields, he's got the 5th highest EPA in the league. But when you play zone coverage, that drops all the way down to the 26th highest EPA. So I think the formula is very clear here for the Broncos. Get pressure on Justin Fields with a 4-man rush ideally, but if you do have to blitz, call zone blitzes, call fire zone concepts. That way, you can stay back, play zone, keep your eyes on the quarterback at all times, so that way if he escapes and goes off to run, you can rally and tackle a lot easier as opposed to if you were playing man. So that is the formula to beat Justin Fields. Fire zones, try to get pressure with 4, and just drop back and stay in zone coverage for most of the game. When he's blitzed, he's 20 for 34, 273 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 big-time throw, 3 turnover-worthy plays. When he's not blitzed, 51 for 72, 481 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 2 big-time throws, and 2 turnover-worthy plays. So, like I said, I believe there is a very clear formula here to beat Justin Fields, and Vance Joseph should recognize it on film, and that's the game plan that the Denver Broncos should implement to take care of Justin Fields. I do want to talk about Tyrod Taylor as their backup. Taylor started a game this season in place of a concussed Fields at Tampa Bay, and low-key, this team looked a lot better with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. I don't know how much longer they're going to keep going with the Justin Fields experiment. They gave him a pretty decent amount of money, but in my opinion, their best quarterback is sitting on the bench right now. So we'll see if Fields does get nicked up, which I obviously don't want to see. I don't want to see anybody get nicked up, but if he does, Tyrod Taylor might come in, and I'm a lot more worried about him beating you through the air as opposed to Justin Fields. Tyrod Taylor can give you some trouble, and the Denver Broncos need to at least have a game plan in the event that he comes in. Now let's go ahead and talk about the running back position. The Jets do run the football at a pretty high level, both with Justin Fields as well as with Breece Hall. However, the second head of their two-headed monster at running back got chopped off when Braylon Allen went down with a knee injury. So that is something the Jets are contending with, but Breece Hall on his own has been fantastic. 66 carries for 351 yards, 5.32 yards per carry. He hasn't found the end zone yet. We're hoping that doesn't happen in this game. He hasn't found it on the ground or through the air. He's got 17 receptions for 150 yards. Again, no receiving touchdowns. As a pass blocker, not great, Bob. He's the 25th rated pass blocking running back out of 45 eligible backs, so yeah, not great there. They do have Isaiah Davis, who's going to function as their third down back. He's got 6 carries for 32 yards, 6 receptions for 52 yards, and he's actually the 9th best pass protection running back in the league. So Isaiah Davis, he'll see action on third down. Kene Nwangwu, he's a special teams guy predominantly, and same thing for Khalil Herbert, but with the Jets dealing with that injury to Braylon Allen, it wouldn't surprise me if one of these two cats saw action on offense. We will keep an eye on that. Now let's go ahead and move into the tight end position. Mason Taylor, their rookie tight end out of LSU, he's had a decent start to the season, 20 receptions for 175 yards. He's very clearly an inline tight end, plays the majority of his snaps there. They've also got Jeremy Ruckert as their backup tight end, 8 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown for Jeremy. He's also an inline guy predominantly. The Jets don't really have a off-the-ball tight end. They don't really have a slot tight end. They don't really have one of those H or F tight ends like the Denver Broncos have with Evan Ingram. They just have 2 really clear-cut inline guys here in Mason Taylor and Jeremy Ruckert. Neither one of them are particularly great at run blocking, though. Mason Taylor, 40th best run blocking tight end, and Jeremy Ruckert, 62nd best run blocking tight end. So even though the Jets do run the football well, it's predominantly because of their offensive line, which we'll talk about in just a second here. It's not really because of their tight end room. Stone Smart and Jelani Woods, their other 2 tight ends, they have not seen any action on offense this season. I don't expect that to change in this game. Now let's go ahead and talk about the fullback real quick before we get into wide receivers. Andrew Beck, our old friend, is there in New York. He's got 1 catch for 1 yard and 1 touchdown this year. He predominantly plays as that pure fullback, 23 backfield snaps, 4 inline snaps, and 3 slot snaps. So it'll be good to see our old friend Andrew Beck in this one. We've also got one of our old friends at wide receiver here with Josh Reynolds. We'll talk about him in just a second, but Garrett Wilson, he's the guy that makes everything go for this Jets passing game. He's been pretty much their only consistent option there. 33 receptions for 382 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's very clearly their outside receiver, 202 wide snaps, 112 slot snaps, and 1 backfield snap. They've also got Josh Reynolds. Reynolds, 5 receptions for 47 yards, no touchdowns, 127 wide snaps, 36 slot snaps, and 1 inline snap. They've got Arian Smith as well, 91 wide snaps and 65 slot snaps. So they'll rotate plenty of guys into this slot role here. It's not just one defined guy who plays in the slot. Smith has 4 receptions for 24 yards this season. Tyler Johnson, 4 receptions for 63 yards. Allen Lazard is listed as out for this game for personal reasons, so it would not surprise me if the Jets called up one of their wide receivers from the practice squad. They've got Brandon Smith, Jamal Pritchett, Quentin Skinner, and Isaiah Williams, so one of these guys could be in line for some duty in this game without Allen Lazard. So that is the Jets' wide receiving core. Garrett Wilson is the guy that the Broncos need to take away. If they take him away, it's pretty slim pickings outside of that. Josh Reynolds against Riley Moss, that's going to be an interesting matchup to follow, but Garrett Wilson, as long as you take him out of the game plan, you should be in pretty good shape. Now let's go ahead and talk about this Jets offensive line. It's a tale of 2 different areas of the game for this Jets offensive line. They're really solid in terms of run blocking, but in terms of pass protection, they're not good. Every single Jets offensive lineman has given up double-digit pressures this year. Olu Fashanu, their left tackle, 18 pressures, 1 sack, 14 flushes. John Simpson, their left guard, 12 pressures, 2 sacks, 9 flushes. Josh Myers, their center, 10 pressures, 1 sack, 7 flushes. Joe Tippmann, their right guard, 14 pressures, 3 sacks, 9 flushes. And then Armand Mimbo, their first-round rookie right tackle, he was widely considered one of the best tackles in this class. He's probably been their best offensive lineman, but he still had some welcome to the NFL moments. 13 pressures, 1 sack, and 11 flushes from the pocket from him. This offensive line, not good in pass pro. In terms of run blocking, the left side really isn't great with Fashanu and Simpson. Fashanu is the 31st rated run blocking tackle out of 58 eligible guys, minimum of 50% snaps played for their team. And then Simpson is the 38th graded blocking guard out of 52 eligible guards. Myers, 15th best run blocking center. It gets better from here. Tippmann, 9th best run blocking guard, and then Mimbo is the 7th best run blocking tackle. So they run the ball predominantly on this right side of their offensive line here because that's their big strength. This left side, that can cause problems. If the Broncos sell out to stop the run in this one, that's going to be a big key for them to winning this game. John Franklin Myers, I think he's going to have a big day. Malcolm Roach coming back, that's going to be huge. Zach Allen, he's going to eat a lot of double teams as usual. But the double team situation does get interesting in this game because they might want to help out Olu Fashanu against Nick Bonitto. With Fashanu giving up 18 pressures, that doesn't bode well for him against Nick Bonitto, who's been an absolute monster this year. They might want to slide the double teams to him. That could leave some one-on-one matchups here for Zach Allen. That could be huge. So you can't double team everybody. We'll see who the New York Jets want to double team in this game. So that's the Jets offense. They don't pass the ball really well. They do run the ball. They're very one-dimensional. And if the Denver Broncos can stop the run, and if they can take care of Justin Fields, then I think they're going to be in really good shape in this game. Now let's go ahead and talk about the Jets defense here, and we'll go ahead and start off with some advanced metrics, and then we'll talk about their personnel a little bit more in depth. In overall EPA per play allowed, they're 29th. Success rate allowed is 6th best, which is a little bit surprising. Normally EPA and success rate correlate a little bit closer to each other. 30th in EPA per pass allowed. This secondary has not been good. They're 22nd in EPA per rush allowed. They've given up 1,071 passing yards this season, which is 11th in the league. Not bad. Also 11th in the league in completion percentage allowed, 65%. They've allowed 11 passing touchdowns, though, so they have a lot of busts in coverage. 702 rushing yards allowed, which is 26th. You can run the ball on this Jets defense. Very notable for the Denver Broncos with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, and they've allowed 5 rushing touchdowns. So going over their personnel here, edge rushers, we've got Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson. Johnson was listed as questionable for this one, but he should be good to go with his injury. On the interior defensive line, you've got Harrison Phillips and Quinnen Williams. Both of those guys have been playing at a high level. We'll go over some more advanced stats in a second. Backup edge rushers, Braden McGregor, Michael Clemens, and then Jowan Briggs and Jay Tufele. Those guys are backups on the interior, along with Leonard Taylor. Linebackers, you've got Kiko Mauigoa, also known as Francisco Mauigoa. I actually got to interview him at the Shrine Bowl down in Texas. Really good dude, and he's getting an opportunity to start as a 5th-round draft pick. Really cool for him. They've also got Jamien Sherwood there. Quincy Williams, one of their other starting linebackers, is out for this game. I believe he's on IR. That's why Mauigoa has gotten the opportunity to play. Some backups there, Cam Jones, Mark Robinson, Mykal Walker. When you move into this secondary, they've had a lot of problems. Sauce Gardner has not been good this season. You got Brandon Stevens, who's actually listed as questionable for this game. That might be a big loss for them. They might have to slide in a backup. And then Michael Carter, he's out for this one. So the Jets might have to contend with a couple of backups here in their secondary, possibly Quantez Stiggers and Isaiah Oliver. So, yeah, that's something they're going to have to contend with. And then Tony Adams and Andre Sisco are their 2 starting safeties. In terms of sacks, Will McDonald is their sack leader with 2. Quincy Williams, who's not playing in this game, has 1.5. Quinnen Williams, Quincy's brother, has 1 sack. Braden McGregor has a sack. Jowan Briggs has a sack. And Harrison Phillips has a half sack. In terms of pressures, Quinnen Williams is their leader in that department with 14, followed by Will McDonald with 7, Michael Clemens with 5, Jowan Briggs with 3, Quincy Williams with 3, who again is not playing, Braden McGregor with 3, Jay Tufele with 3, and Tyler Barron with 3 pressures as well. Quinnen Williams also the leader in run stops for the New York Jets with 14. Clemens has 7, Phillips has 6, Stevens has 6, Sherwood has 5, Briggs has 5, and then Quincy Williams has 5 as well. In terms of coverage, their highest graded coverage guy has been Brandon Stevens on the season, who might not play in this game. A 67.4 coverage grade. Sauce Gardner, not been good, just a 60.4 coverage grade. Andre Sisco has a 59.4 coverage grade. Tony Adams a 57.2. And then Malachi Moore, their backup safety, he's got a 41.6, which is really bad. Moving into linebacker coverage, these two have really struggled in coverage. Mauigoa's got a 55.8 grade in coverage, and then Sherwood has a 44.3 grade in coverage. So if we could get Evan Ingram or maybe R.J. Harvey matched up against one of these linebackers, the Broncos might have a favorable matchup there. Just like if the New York Jets were to get a one-on-one matchup with Alex Singleton, they'd have a favorable matchup. So the linebacker play for both sides in this game is less than ideal. And then they've also got another backup guy, McCrary Ball. I think they've elevated him from the practice squad a couple of times, and he's got a 43.4 coverage grade for the New York Jets. So now let's go ahead and talk about some keys to victory here for this game, and we're going to start off with the same 2 that we always do. Stay healthy. We cannot afford any big-time injuries in this game. No stupid penalties. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. No false starts, no jumping off sides, no leverage penalties on field goals, nothing pre-snap, nothing after the whistle. Any penalties of this nature we just cannot have. We preach it every single week. We still have these penalties pretty much every week. This game is one where hopefully you will minimize the penalties. Sell out to stop the run. It's what the New York Jets do best. It's the only thing they really do well. Force them to be a drop-back passing team on offense. Keep contained. Do not let Justin Fields out of the pocket. Don't let Breece Hall bounce anything outside. If either one of them gets outside, it could spell trouble, and it could spell a big game for this Jets offense. Play zone coverage against Justin Fields. He performs drastically worse versus zone than man. We already talked about the EPA numbers a little bit earlier in this video. Have a plan to limit Alex Singleton being exposed in coverage. We have to say it every single week. Singleton is probably going to give up at least one big play in this one, but hopefully it's just one. Hopefully the Broncos are able to limit the big plays that he gives up. Generate pressure on Justin Fields, especially with a four-man rush. He may get out of a few sacks just because of how elusive he is, but Denver should be able to get him a few times, and they should be able to get him on the ground. Just because you don't sack him that first time doesn't mean you're not going to sack him the whole game. So keep fighting, keep putting forth that effort up front, and eventually you will get home. In the passing game for the Broncos, let Bo Nix take calculated risks. These DBs are really struggling to cover, so you should have multiple favorable matchups, and you might be able to hit multiple deep balls in this game just because of the coverage bust that this Jets defense has the tendency to have. Don't be afraid to test Sauce Gardner. He hasn't been playing well, and eventually he'll start getting grabbies, so you might be able to draw a couple of pass interference penalties out of Sauce Gardner. Sustain the ground game for all 4 quarters. Feed J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. The Broncos did a good job committing to the ground game last week, even when they were down. In this game, I expect them to stick with the run for all 4 quarters once again. You've got to have a 0-0 mindset this entire game. No matter what the score actually is, even if you're blowing them out, you've got to treat it like it's a 0-0 ball game and keep the foot on the gas. Because the New York Jets, they do put up points in garbage time in the 4th quarter. The Broncos ideally don't want them to do that. I believe the Broncos are going to win this game. I've maintained this attitude all week. But how big of a margin of victory is it going to be? I think the Broncos are going to come out and play sound football, especially in the first 3 quarters, and I think they're going to take a big lead. I think they're going to come out and take a 28-3 lead. But then in the 4th quarter, as they usually do, the New York Jets are going to put up some points, dress up the score a little bit, make it look a little bit more respectable. So I've got the Broncos winning 28-14. I think the Jets are going to put up 11 of those points in garbage time after the game's already gone, possibly after the Broncos have pulled out starters. This should be a game where the Denver Broncos dominate. If they didn't dominate in this game, it means that they didn't take care of business and they weren't disciplined enough. And we're going to have some serious conversations if the Broncos don't win this game. If they win, they've got a 75% chance to make the playoffs. But if they lose, their chances to make the playoffs drop all the way down to 45%. We can't have that in this game. So for the Denver Broncos, this is pretty close to a must-win, and they can't let any of the outside factors of being in London, having to travel, coming off a big win last week, they can't let any of that get to them in this one. They've got to find a way to get the job done by at least 2 scores when it's all said and done. Alright guys, be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. I'm curious. Let me know in the comment section below. How do you think this game is going to go? What is your score prediction? Do you think the Broncos are going to come away with a pretty comfortable victory, or do you think they're going to have some trouble in this game? And do you think this might be a little bit tougher of a matchup for the Denver Broncos than we're giving it credit? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Before we get out of here, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting this channel, I would really appreciate it if you would become a channel member today. It's not mandatory whatsoever, but if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping this channel grow, helping this community grow, I would really appreciate if you would consider it. Link in the description below. Alright guys, and until next time, I'm your host Gage Madrid, saying peace out.